Okay, we're going live just now. Green Sunrise Podcast. I'm going live. We're waiting for Kenny MGee. Kenny MGee, Glasgow rapper. Pen and paper at the ready. Let's find out who he is. And let's get this in. Kenny, let's add to. Kenny, how are we?
Yeah, what's up? How you doing?
Good man, good. You you
Mhm.
you actually sound quite American. I like that.
A lot of people. Well, I don't necessarily know why my accent's like the way it is, but a lot of people are like, when I like want to record music with them or anything, or I show them my songs, like specifically from Scotland, they're like, "Oh, stop faking your accent, bro." And I send them one voice message, and like, "Oh, never mind." You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think it's just because of like where I was like growing up around and stuff. You know what I mean? And I hung out with like a lot of American people, like
Ah,
so
right.
I just your voice kind of gets fucked, you know what I mean? And it's always funny when I
It's good.
pull up with like Scottish phrases and
It's
like
good.
my accent. I've got a question. Is there like a link I can share this to? I'd like my friends are saying they want to like join and like
Right,
watch this
definitely.
one.
Let me see if there's a link actually. Actually, let me double check. I'll tell you if there's a link right now.
Yeah, cool.
How's your day been so far, anyway, mate?
Yeah, it's been kind of boring today, but you know, just I don't know, you just prepare yourself for the weekend. Like I just got up, just I don't know, talk to my family or whatever, just watch some TV and then just went straight to work. After work's fine, you know what I mean? I don't mind it to be honest with you. And then after that just came back and just I was kind of slacking on making music lately because it was my birthday the other week. So I was like,
Ah,
I wrote a message on my computer like, "You lazy bastard, make some fucking music." And I just came and it was right on my computer screen when I came in. I've just been
and
touching
that,
up stuff because you need stuff like that to push you. You know what I mean? Especially when it's like when it's by yourself. You
yeah,
know.
yeah, you
Hmm.
do. Right, so we are live. So if you tell them to go to Green Sunrise Podcast
Hmm.
on YouTube, because I can't share it on this, but it is Sean. There's Sean. Evening all. Uh, so straight a comment in straight away so from Sean. So if you tell them just go to Green Sunrise
Oh, I found it here.
Podcast.
I found it here. Yeah,
You
I've got a
got it.
link here. Yeah.
And it'll take them straight into it. So what I've described this as let's find out who Kenny MGee is, or Kenny McGee is. It's Kenny McGee, isn't it?
Yeah, Kenny MGee. That's the one. No,
Let's.
there we go.
So you sent us a wee message after watching the Superman on the Beat episode, which was just released at the start of the end of last week.
Mhm.
Uh, so you've done a wee bit of work with Superman, haven't you, Sanjeev?
Yeah, yeah. He was one of the first. I can always give him credit because he like back when I was like first, like I was doing music for a long, long time. Like, but I just did it as a piss take. Like, I just made like joke music and stuff for my friends. And then eventually, I did like even when I was still doing this joke music, I did like a concert in my hometown to like over 150 people, and it was like, and I made a good chunk of money in that as well. Shame I was like 15 and just spent it all on shit.
Wow.
But after that, I was like, okay, yeah, this is definitely what I want to do because it was real. You know what I mean? It wasn't just like whatever. Even if it was just a load of my mates and people from school, it still
Does it
felt
matter, man?
so. Yeah, no, it still felt so good. So then I started getting a bit more professional and serious, and I did a song literally at the beginning of 2023. And then he just like, and I just texted him because that was on Hip Hop Scotland, like his company, and that was just
Mm,
sort of coming about.
mm.
And like, I was just like, oh, love what you're doing. Love, could I get gigs or anything? And I showed him my music, and he was like, "Oh, I'll do a remix of that song you got. I really like it." So then we both worked on like a remix together. And I don't know, like, I don't even know how he like makes his beats and that, but they're really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
amazing what he's doing. You know what I
He's a,
mean?
he's he's a remarkable and phenomenal individual, and it
Hmm.
was. I'm glad that he came into the podcast, and I'm also glad that he wants to work with us in the background as well, and he
Hmm.
wants to help me kind of like obviously make this bigger as well for the vision
Hmm.
that we've got at Green Sunrise Podcast. So if anybody's watching this for the first time and you don't know what Green Sunrise Podcast is, Green Sunrise Podcast was on uh, based on finding people in a dark space or a dark place and hopefully connecting them with services, but also connecting them with ideas and showing them that you can decide on living life. And yeah, so I'm trying to just get as many golden gems from the people that we interview, and it's not just me. We try and get as many people in when we interview them that they become hosts and co-hosts, and help them also get involved, and yeah, just try and make it better for people who are maybe struggling with stuff. So, with regards to interviewing people like yourself, Kenny,
Hmm.
uh, this is how I find people. It's just through commenting, through somebody else's podcast, or you might know somebody, and then we make contact and go, "All right, do you want to do a podcast? What's your vision? What's your goals? Where are you? And how
Hmm.
can you help us?"
I mean, it's a perfect way of doing it because I saw Superman do it, and I was just like, oh, that would be cool. Like, I'll be completely honest with I didn't think I would be on it tonight, but I just like I saw like I don't know even if it was on purpose, but you followed me this morning. I was like, all
Yep,
right, like that was like. All right, that's really cool. And I just thought, because recently I've been texting a lot of people who like work in like the music industry and that in Scotland, just because
yep,
it's like you miss every shot you don't take. And a surprising amount get back. So I was like, I saw this here and I was like, oh wait, let me just send a text, you know what I mean? Because I've been on a podcast before in Scotland. It was what you call it? Was it Let's Have It Productions? I don't know if you've heard of them, but run by a guy called
yeah,
Chris Crookie. And yeah,
yep.
like and I
So
did their
Chris
thing.
Cruikshanks, yep,
Yeah, that's the guy there. Yeah, so I went on it with him and his guy Danny, and that was great. You know what I mean? It was just, and that just when I went on that, it was just like, wow, opportunity for like, because I was 17, I've literally just
yeah,
turned 18, but I was
yep,
like, I don't get this type of representation at all. Like, because you can look at my Spotify and everything and be like, or whatever, and be like, oh, that's quite impressive. He's got like listeners or
yeah,
whatever. But I prefer like, I don't get a whole lot of like actual representation in that compared to a lot of people you know, who are like smaller and listeners and that, because it doesn't matter at
yep,
the end of the day. It's like these other people are getting like bigger opportunities or whatever. So I'm just like things like this really mean just everything, you know what I mean? Because
yeah. It's brilliant,
it's just
and
putting yourself
we
out.
and I'm just grateful that you took on this opportunity to do that, because we've got people who don't get the opportunity, like you say, and it's
Hmm.
just, but I'm not, do you know what I mean? I'm not big I'm not a big fish, do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
But we're growing. I think when it gets
Yeah.
to it, we're growing together, and you never know what could happen at the end of the day. You don't know who's watching. You don't know who's there to kind of who wants to connect with you as well.
Hmm. Like that's like something I've noticed like through doing my music and stuff. It's like a lot of like when people like this is like a sort of cocky thing to say, but I feel like you sort of have to be whenever you're like, especially in my type of thing. But it's like the amount of people have like I've texted and then they've just not gotten back or whatever. They've seen it and just not replied. I've been like, you might regret that in a few years. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like because like I don't know. Like I really do think that like everyone in their own lanes or just keep building up naturally now. And I don't think anyone should ever be ignored unless they're like being horrible to you. You know what I mean? If someone
yeah,
genuinely just because I haven't even been texting these people and that on Instagram for like collaborations or features. I've just been asking them to talk about themselves and give me some
yep,
advice because one, everyone loves talking about themselves, hence why
yep,
podcasts are so good. But like
yep,
they're more experienced than I am. I'm so young. Like the one I'm kind of
yep,
sick of getting told it, but it is true the amount of people that say, "Oh, like even like other rappers and that they've been like, oh, I'm in my 20s or whatever, and even if I'm like still doing well, I would have loved to have started this when I was your age. You know
yep.
what I mean? So it's so cool, like you're doing this at your age. You know what I mean? And it does feel, I don't know, it does feel pretty cool, like meeting all these cool people and that, like
Oh, it's
just
brilliant.
you know what I mean? Especially like only just turning 18 because I'm still young, but I've got
Yeah, of
so many
course.
years on so many
Yeah,
people.
you've got a good springboard from the people that you're meeting, and especially when it comes to Zanjeev,
Mhm.
Superman on the beat. When you come to guys like that, now I've noticed you've been working with a few people like on the background, and
Mhm.
obviously I'm going to ask you about them because this is
Of
very
course.
new to me as well, and it's good that I'm getting into this environment with people that I've never even heard of, because
Mhm.
then it opens up my avenue to hear something different and something really nice and something good. So you've been working with a few guys, right?
Yeah,
One of the guys, so we're going to talk about Safe now, right? Your latest one.
yeah,
Now it's featuring, is it Kraken?
yeah. His name's Kraken. Yeah.
Kraken. And how did that come about? How did who contacted who? Was it, were you on the phone to somebody?
Well, okay, so there's a bit of a story here, but basically, I used to do, as I said at the beginning, I used to do like music as like a joke. Like, I just didn't really take it that seriously. But in that, I ended up joining like a community of people that also just made funny joke music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but eventually, and I did that when I was like 14 to like, 15, 16, like early 16, that. And eventually, I was just like, I don't really like this anymore because they weren't really. Eventually, like after my concert and that, I thought, wait, I wanted this to be real, and I can't just be going about just not taking it seriously if I want it to be serious. But there was a lot of people who felt the same way from that community, and one of the guys was a guy. He used to be called like Lil Kraken, but then he got rid of the Lil because I don't know. I prefer the name just Kraken. I feel like
Yeah,
only
Kraken's
some
good.
artists like I feel like some other I don't know. It's like if you called me Lil Kenny or something, it just doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you need like a nice name. And he was like the one thing I always noticed, which I actually don't agree with at all, but like the people in this community, like the sort of quote unquote higher ups, they very much didn't really respect people trying to become more serious. They're just like, oh, just take it as a joke or whatever. But
Hmm.
people like this guy, like I don't know. I ended up meeting my producer through them because he used to do like joke music as well. But he was just like, I just want to make music. I just want to produce music. So, and he's the only guy I've ever had like beats wise to
Hmm.
understand me. So it was him, and then this Kraken guy, he wanted to like become a part of the community, and I told them, I was like, please let him, he's really good, because I started wanting them to take it more serious, and they're like, okay, fine. Didn't do anything with him, and then he eventually was just like, I can just go off and do my own thing. But we kept in contact, and he just kept getting better like every song he put out, because he was like, I just like, you've heard the song, I love
Yeah.
his vocals, like he's got such a unique voice. And
Yeah.
I was just like, hey, would you like to collaborate in that? And he was a bit nervous at first, you know what I mean? Like we phoned each other, and you could tell he hadn't really like, I don't know, it wasn't really he's quite I was gonna say perfectionist, but he was quite picky. You know what I mean? He wasn't sure like,
Aye.
oh, if everything was like good. He kept wanting updates and stuff. But I completely agree with that, because it's his product as much as it is mine. Even if it's me putting it out, he's got his name on that. Um and one thing that like happened was, I don't know if you can notice it in the song. There's female vocals throughout the whole thing. That is like, she might kill me for this, but that's from my friend Ava, who and she recorded vocals over that whole thing, and like as like a backing, like as like a, it went along with the beat. And when I sent it to the Kraken guy originally, he didn't have that. When I sent it back with the vocals, it was like, whoa, she's like gonna completely wash me in the song. But I was like, no, trust me, you guys like work perfectly together. And yeah, like I feel like that's my best song I've ever made. It took me over 2 years to actually make it, because the verse in that song is 2 years old. I'd recorded,
Right.
and someone told me, I was like, I should re-record that, because I recorded that when I was like 15, and I was like, I was like, I should re-record this, because I still thought it was good. I just thought, I'm not too sure, because I recorded it like as I wanted to start becoming more serious and everything. And then someone told me, a mate of mine called Gary, he was like, you never, like, the thing is, you can always do new music, and the song is new, like besides that one verse, but you're never gonna get like young you ever back again. You know what I mean? It doesn't like, and I was just sitting there. I was like, what? Because he's like right. You know what I mean? I was never gonna, like, if I deleted that verse and put a new one, it wouldn't hit the same as if it was me when I was 15. Because the
Yeah.
song's quite like an emotional one, and at the end, vocals were just like singing. That's like me now. But like with like the whole, I don't know. I was just like, he's right, because it keeps with like the nature of the song, and like progressing, progressive and that. You know what I mean? It just, I don't know. I was so right for that. And still, even if I do think I could have recorded it better, like I can look at that song with like more, I don't know, appreciation, just because,
Yeah.
yeah, it just shows how much I've evolved basically, or like
So
grown up anyway.
what was your first song ever? What was the one that kicked you off? The one that you brought out?
So I'd been doing music for a while. The first song I ever made was a diss track of my best friend Jack with no backing track or anything, just a spoken word piece. And I got a school photo of him and I burnt it. And like in the music video, it would have actually been recorded in S1. We'd only just become friends.
So is
And
this
like,
just you? Is this just you winding him up? Just was it just banter?
yeah, we are just yeah, because he did one back, and he had a
All
photo
right.
of me, and he like chucked it in the river, and that like we both had like, and we did like back and forths, and then like we were both like obsessed of like just being like we both had like very similar senses of humor, so we both found like, oh, we hate you, you know, you're not. You're like a twat, you know. Your
Aye.
music's awful. We don't even. None of us even had songs.
Oh
we
wow.
so that was that, and I did that when I was. It would have been when I was 12. You know what I mean? But that was But my first proper song I ever did would be like I'm gonna yeah I'll count this like probably this one called "Up to You." My microphone is falling down. Oh my
Nah,
word!
don't worry about it. Take your
Hold on.
time.
Yeah. So it was called "Up to You" with a guy from. He lives in Finland at the moment, but he's from America, and he's a guy. He's got a funny name, but he's actually a really good rapper. He's called Lil Squeaky, and he was in that same comedy rap thing, but like he was just so good. Like his name does not give him any justice. He doesn't even do music now, but genuinely, some of like his bars and that are like on level with like
So
other mainstream rappers. Like, so that was like my first ever song I'd like properly put out like on streaming and everything. I
yeah.
saved up all my money. I bought my like a distro kid, and like I put out that song, and like it's got like I don't really like it too much now because it's a bit immature, but yeah, it's got 6,000 streams. So like I can't actually complain. Like that's and that's like been up for nearly 3 years. So that was my first ever
Wow.
proper one. But yeah, and one thing that people always ask is like, which I assume you were thinking with like the Kraken guys, like how do you get like American connections and stuff? These
Yeah.
days, it's like it sounds insane, but you all you need to do is just find them on social media, the same way I'd find you. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, and if you can do like, I mean, this year, like I'm using it to record over this, but I do all my music and like this type of thing. They have the exact same type of equipment. They just record it and send it to you. It's actually insane. Like, and like I don't like the amount of like amazing talent and that like I've like heard or like spoken to as well, like over the internet and that. It sounds insane, but like I don't know, like you can just talk to anyone, like
Yeah.
just you know what I mean? It still feels crazy to me, to be honest
I,
with you.
I like it. I love how it's all came about, and I love how you're pointing out you could just do this from your room and just
Hmm.
do you know what I mean? And you've got it's a good setup. You've got.
Hmm. Oh, but
I
I
like
mean,
this bit at the back. What is that?
oh, what? Wait, are you looking at like? I can move out of the way. Are you looking
No,
at
no, it's good. I
the?
like it.
Are you looking at the posters, and or are you looking at the lights and everything?
No,
I think.
I see the lights. Yeah, I love how it's situated like that. I love how you've
Uh,
got. See, it's good to see the pictures. Who are the pictures? Is that
oh,
take that and all that and Boyzone?
oh,
What kind of pictures is that?
no, no, up at the back. That's Eminem at the back there.
I was really kidding on. Can you
Ah,
imagine if that was pictures I take that? I'd be
no, no,
probably
that would be. I'll be like hanging up instantly. They can't
that
know that.
that was in my room. That was in my
Mhm.
room when I was growing up because
Oh yeah.
I had a room with my sister. I mean,
Oh,
take
oh,
that,
that's
and all that
that's
kind of shit.
crazy. You're definitely before my time.
Wow, man.
But like all these like photos, like so you have I have Eminem in the middle there. I've just put all like pictures around it. That's just like photos of like me and my friends and everything. And like
So,
I
so
just keep again.
would you say Eminem's like was like one of your biggest one of your biggest kind of heroes in a sense where you take a lot from
Yeah.
him?
I mean, maybe not so much musically these days, but like I found like I feel like everyone found rap music, like just not even
Yeah,
like white people, just everyone found rap music through
yeah,
Eminem because
yeah.
it's just what was it? I just saw him. I was watching some video. I was so young. I was like 9 years old. I was in like P6, and I was just watching some video on my phone of not on my not, what am I saying? My phone, my tablet,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
was like, oh, best songs of like 2010s, and one of his songs was there. I think that it was like "Lose Yourself" or something. And just
right.
since then, I was like, my like everything changed. Never went back. Just you know what I mean. And I don't know, like it's funny when I still keep all my old Spotify playlists, and it's funny when you go back to like 2018 and that you have like all these like old school music, and then as I like got older, I got into like newer rap music and stuff. But then it all comes back. Like
Yeah,
these days, I sit and listen to like the old Eminem albums and stuff like I used to.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, it's just
Like
classic.
exactly. You know, because there was for a while. It's really funny. I used to be like, I feel like a lot of people who like rap music in like my generation, they'd agree. It's like you start off with like your Eminem, your Dr. Dre, like
Yes.
Tupac,
Yeah.
Notorious B.I.G., and you think, oh, I know that new music shit is fucking awful. Get that off, and then slowly but surely you start being listening. Actually, no, I love this new rap music,
Yeah.
and then you start being like, oh, I never listen to the '90s stuff anymore, and then you just and then eventually for me it's just blended. I listen to anything now, you know what I mean?
Ah,
Like
that's great.
mhm, just I
So,
don't know.
so what kind of? So, would you say hip hop is the your biggest kind of influence, or what kind
Yeah.
of music's your biggest influence?
Well, the influence for sure, rap and hip hop. Like, it's like
Yeah.
the only thing I say the only thing, but for the most part, it's the only thing I listen to. Like, I just love everything about everything about it. Like the whole culture and everything. Like, I don't know. It's just for some reason it just hits so differently to me.
What I've noticed with the hip hop, especially because it's like, for me, this is all brand new, right? And
Hmm.
even though it's been about for a while, but hip hop in Scotland has got such a unique viewpoint, as in there's so many different people doing it, and there's so many
Hmm.
different great voices. But what I
Hmm.
like about the stuff about hip hop is it seems to be in Scotland, but it's not so much trashing somebody. There's more so because the hip hop was based on bringing people together, and then it
Hmm.
turned to me. It looked like it was turning into like threatening, and there was a lot
Yeah,
of kind
yeah.
of angry people. And now, when you look at the Scottish scene, for me anyway, there's more kind of love that's come back to that, where there's people getting together for good times rather than kind of the opposite of that.
I
What do
mean,
you think?
for me personally, I've never really had. I've had a few people who have been like who said I'm shit or whatever, but like that
Yeah,
just comes of everything for the most
yeah,
part. Rap in
yeah,
Scotland, like I've loved everyone. You know what I mean? Like I can't really complain about really anyone. I can have everyone has like gripes with people. Like I'm always a bit miffed when I meet someone at a concert or whatever, because like Sanjeev's like hip hop Scotland shows. I try and like go like loads of those because he's always got cool opening acts. The amount
yeah,
of times I've been even with like my manager and I've been like, oh, I've actually thought like you're great. I just want to can we collaborate or whatever? I really think we can. They're like,
yeah.
yes. Send them a text. No reply for 2 weeks. Then all of a sudden, no. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that
Aye,
type of thing. But it doesn't make
yeah.
me hate the person because I'm never
No,
gonna
no,
change my
no,
opinion on their music. It just kind of
no.
sucks a bit.
It
But
just, you kind of build it up and then you just let down. But at the same time, there's plenty of opportunities that are definitely going to happen in the future, and you just don't know what's going to happen. The more
exactly. I
active
mean,
you are,
yeah, I mean, you miss everything you don't take, and I'm happy I've at least reached out to these people. You know what I mean? Because I don't think there's any blood. If someone says no to a collaboration, I don't feel like there's ever any bad blood. I feel like a lot
no,
of people would feel like it's like a bad thing, but I don't think it's at all. Because I've been asked for a lot of collaborations, and I've just like I'll be honest, I've just said no because I'm quite not even like I'm picky, but I just know like the sound I like. You know what I mean? I know what I'm making, so a lot of I feel like maybe a lot of people don't like couldn't really get behind that. Like maybe they think they can, but
yep,
maybe that's just me. Like that's just probably me at the moment, just focusing on my own stuff. I feel like the second I start getting like more and more out, I'll be you know, bit more open to like proper collaborations because I love getting people on stuff, less so going on other people's stuff because it means I can curate it more.
yeah.
Hmm. But I
I'm
agree
just,
with like, the whole. Oh yeah, what you saying?
I'm just sharing this out actually because I've me and you actually, it's probably worked out really good. So me and you were just going to do an audio podcast, right? We were
Mhm.
just going to do a conversation about you, your journey, or your time. Let's find out who you are, and we'll bring it to the green room. Because eventually we'll have it in the green room, right? We'll have
Mhm.
a really good podcast episode in the green room.
Mhm.
But this was we were only meant to be doing an audio tonight, and then
Mhm.
I thought I couldn't. My passwords on
Mhm.
my my Spotify for podcasters. it's went kaboosh. I can't get in. And so now that when you go forgot password and it just goes to your old email address, well, it's not really working that way
Yeah.
for us. So I knew that I could get into StreamYard, and I knew that I could get you on the video. So I'm glad that you took that opportunity to do
Mhm.
this on the video, because
Like,
your chat is great. You
yeah,
you you like you've got a vision. I don't know what it is, but you've got a clear vision of where you want to be. Because
yeah.
you didn't expect this to happen today. Like me and you talking today, I didn't expect that either.
Mhm.
Uh, but I'm glad it did. What is happening? So we're talking about, and I know you're very young, but we're
Mhm.
also talking about that. I was giving you the preface or the description of the podcast, right? And
Mhm.
you said that there was some stuff for your mental health wise that you could talk about. What can you
Mhm.
talk about for your mental health wise? As in, you've got a few stories and stuff.
Yeah,
If
so
anything, that is.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm happy to talk about anything like that. So I've always like I'm never gonna say like I was never brought up bad. Like, let's just get that off like the table. Like, I love my parents. Like, they've both like done me so well. Like, I'm in a completely different industry than like this, like with my family. Like,
Yeah.
they're like all agriculture, farming, like specifically in sheep and stuff, and they've become like they're extremely successful in their lane. Like, and my dad was telling me a story about how he was like he was quite like depressed or whatever, and because his family, part side of the family was also in farming, but they were in like what do you call it, cows and stuff, and they really wanted him just to keep going with them. He's like got like a lot of siblings, but he
Mm-hmm.
hated that. He wanted just to stick in his own lane, which he loved was sheep. So he took a flight out to New Zealand for like half a year just about, and then he came back with a business, and now he's just like, that's it. So I take like a lot of like inspiration from that, because my parents both support me very heavily with this music stuff. They say as long as I make money and as long as I'm happy, that's all that
Yep.
matters. Like with anything I do. So, but so in that regards, my parents and like everything like that, nothing is their thing. I think it's just that my generation is just a lot of hate, to be honest with you. Not even like like just music and that, just in general. I mean, when I was the thing that got me into music, and that was probably just because I don't know, you can hear like, I mean, a lot of rappers talk about it, but you can just hear them express their emotions and you can relate. Like when I was I'm saying when I was younger, but in like S2 and S3, S4, like I used to have like these mates, but like then they just completely turned on me, and like that, like, but I still hung out with them because I was fucking stupid. But I just got like the classic like
Nice.
slurs at me all the time, like insults, and tell me to kill myself and all that. And eventually, like it or not, that stuff does get to you when you go to school
Yeah.
5 times a week, still hanging out. And the problem is that I was two of my best friends were like with them, and they didn't really want to, like, they still were great with me and everything, but it's tricky because I'm still with them. I
Yep.
mean, it's just school stuff. I can happily say those two people who are still like, I'll get, as you know, get to that, but like
No, but
eventually
that's
it just
fair.
got well too much. Like I just didn't want to. I always came to school. I never like made excuses for that. I'm very happy for that, because I don't think like I've talked to a lot of people who just like skive in school and everything, because like when they're sad or depressed. I don't agree with that at all, because the thing is, at the end of the day, even if you're dealing with this stuff, there's always people. Like, I had other friends at school and that who I went and talked to, but I just got like so depressed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like doing all sorts, like, and then eventually I just like went to I had like 12 free periods because I just dropped my classes. So I went and I just started recording and like doing music stuff in our school's music studios. Like, we only had one, but I just would like book it
Yeah.
out for the whole day, and I just started using that as my outlet. And eventually, as we all got a bit older, and they, like, the people that were like really, really being horrible at me, and that, I feel like people started to notice. And like my two good mates and that, they were just like, yo, this has been going on too long, because they just like didn't care. They started doing it to them as well, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just like they're just like losers, you know what I mean? And they
Aye.
could obviously everyone started feeling bad because they had no friends besides us. Like, if that makes sense, they weren't like
Yeah.
popular. It was
No, I
literally,
get it.
if anything, it was like, I feel like it was maybe coping for maybe their like home lives and that, because I know one of
Yep.
them was quite a bad background, the other one had like quite a bad family life, so I can't
Yep.
really blame it on that, but you still shouldn't take it out. So
Yep.
eventually we were just like, let's just stop this, you know what I mean? Like, let's just please, like, let's just stop hanging out with them. and then since then, just things started getting a bit like bet like things started getting better. Because one thing I can always say, whenever I feel like depressed or sad or anything, I've got really good people around me and that I can
Yeah,
always
that's
talk
great.
to. I know a lot of people don't. There was a few times I did end up like phoning like Samaritans and all that type of stuff. Not because I was like suicidal or anything, just because sometimes it's nicer to talk to someone you don't know about things
Yes.
that are going on. I feel like people, because when I told like my like brother and stuff about that, he got like really scared and everything. But I like all I could have explained was just it's nice to talk to people who you don't know, you know what I mean? Like, because they can give completely different insight. I feel like there's always a bit of bias when you talk to people you're close to, you know, like obviously, but they're always going to be like, oh, everything will be all right. Sometimes it's not all right to hear that, you know what I mean? Um,
No,
like,
it's not. You're right.
mhm,
That's one of the things. I'm sorry to cut you off, but one of the things that I've just learned through. I've just done my mental health first aid training.
mhm,
So, like, I'm a mental health first aider. I've done the assist training, right, which is
mhm,
the applied skills for suicide intervention training, right?
mhm,
And what I would notice with that is when you finish the courses, when you do these courses for mental health first aid, you find that there's so many organisations out there. Samaritans, like you
mhm.
just mentioned, are one of those great organisations that people don't know about,
Mhm.
well, or they do know about them, but they don't sometimes they don't take that opportunity or that time to go and phone them because
I put it
they're
off
too
for
scared.
ages. I'll be completely honest. I was
Yep.
very. I don't know what it is, but it's like when the phone's ringing, you do like, and then like when like the little like text to speech voice comes on and that, you do just sit there and you just start getting really nervous. There's no
Yeah.
reason to, but it's just.
Yep.
I think it's more because you're worried about how people see. It's less them. I think it's more. I mean, I was just worried that people like how people would see me phoning them and that. Like I didn't, because whenever like I need like help with stuff from my friends, I never want them to treat me any differently than they do.
Yep.
Like whenever my friends need like mental health and like help and that, I just invite them out and just show them that everything's, you know, I don't need to tell them
Yeah.
everything's all right. I just like one of my good mates, like I felt like there was just something up with him. Like this was just not even a month ago. He was just getting like, I don't know, I was just seeing signs, you know what I mean? Because I'd seen
Yeah.
him in myself. So I was like, I just kept asking him out all the time because he lives quite close and that. I was just like, oh, just come and see me because we're in like our holidays and that we just all left school. I don't know if that was maybe the reason, but you know, they talk. You don't even need to tell them. They'll just start and they'll be like, you know what, this has been on my mind. And that's just like, you know what I mean? You just talk, you know what I mean? Because like it's no different than like if I was talking to my mates about like if I was happy about like telling like my problems or whatever, it's the same thing. Some people just like want to feel comfortable, you know, they don't
Yeah.
want to like if I got like I always felt like I never really liked it when people like put up in their Instagrams and stuff like saying they were like trying to like not attention seeking, but it's like I don't know. I never really agreed with that because then it's like everyone gets really worried about it. And because I did that a few times myself. And in hindsight, it's like, you know, you either, you know, just text them first or just ask them to meet up or whatever. Like your friends are, if you know your friends are good, you know, you shouldn't need to like, you know, beg for it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
because then it just worries everyone else. And then,
I,
then
I'm
they start thinking they have to try harder or whatever when they, you know, it's
This
nothing like
is
that.
this conversation, Kenny, aka James Steele, or
Mm,
James Steele, aka Kenny.
mhm,
This conversation, I don't know if you know, but this will, well, if people watch this, this will hit home for a lot of
mhm,
people, hit home for a
mhm,
lot of people, and this is why I urge people to share the channel and share the conversations. It doesn't even matter if it's my conversation with you. We're touching on a subject that has to be spoken about,
yeah,
similar to, like, you've said you've never been suicidal, but you've had those dark thoughts, right?
yeah,
And if we don't say the question, we don't say the word, like, are you suicidal? And the suicide prevention people are there's a lot of suicide prevention charities that are kicking about. And if
mhm,
we don't talk about this stuff, then we don't give people the opportunity to think they've got a place to go.
mhm,
Your conversation, and you're quite clear on this. You've you've potentially saved somebody's life just by talking to them and being persistent, but not in
mhm,
a nasty way. You've been
mhm,
persistent in a way because you've seen something that you've been going through yourself, and you've done
Yeah,
that. It's related to you, so you've wanted to
exactly.
make that mark to say, "No, come on, let's just go," and you've been really nice about it, and
Hmm.
that's a beautiful thing to do. You
Hmm.
should take your hat off to that, man. It's beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. I really appreciate. I mean, I the way I see it, just I mean, it's generic to say, but treat people how you want to be treated. I know, like when what was it? This is like this is an interesting story. Like when after my like first ex had left me, I know it's embarrassing or whatever. I was like really quite sad, just because I felt like it was one of those things where it's like people can like laugh or whatever. Like plenty of people like do like
Yeah,
whatever, but it's like sometimes that type of thing does hit for literally everyone if you've ever been in a relationship. You know what I mean? It's not nice being left because you feel quite lonely or whatever. And it had like happened right after a concert I had done, and like, it was like I was at such a high point to a low point. Like it was very very jarring, and that was when I started like I don't know. I was just texting people being really weird because I had literally like zero thoughts on my head because I was like. I felt like I'd done something wrong when in reality, I think some people, here's something that's very important. If someone leaves you or whatever, or you're like thinking of leaving someone they can't, sometimes you just have, especially if you're an age like mine, this is like so mature of me for saying, like people have like said this before, but sometimes you just got to admit you're not compatible. You know what I mean? Because there's,
yeah,
think about like, I know it's cringe to be like, oh, there's 8 billion people, but like that's the statistic.
yeah,
There's
man.
always going to be someone out there in terms of that
Yeah,
type of thing. And I guess I didn't really see it at the time just because I don't know, your mind never goes in the right place and that type of thing. But I had woken up the next morning, like after like I was just so depressed the night before, and I'd woken up the next morning and my brother comes in my room and he's like, "Oh, two of your best mates are literally on their way to see you." It was like 9 a.m. in the morning. They just decided, let's go and see him. And like, yeah, after that, like I don't think I'd ever really felt like the same type of like just in general, like same type of like feelings like depression that like I had an ex after who had left me again and that like sometimes again you can't really avoid these things but I wasn't even I was upset but I wasn't it didn't affect me at all. It took me
yeah,
like a week and I literally all I did was just this is I guess self-care stuff. Like people
yeah,
take things completely different but I was just looking at the little things in life. I've like chosen personally to like be single since just because I've been looking at everything that's so important to me now and like what will help me for the future.
yeah,
Because they always say never get into a relationship unless you think you're ready. There's like
yeah.
6 questions that you should ask yourself. I couldn't tell them off the top of my head, but
you
like yeah, there
you
was that.
you are very young, right? So just watch it like so. For example, just be work on yourself. Always
Hmm.
give yourself that self love, and eventually, what will happen will happen. The right people will always meet the right people.
Hmm.
So you've got bags of time, man. Oh God,
Yeah,
you've got bags of
exactly.
time.
And that's what I want to try and tell my friends and stuff as well. Like, cause like the amount of times like people have came to me and that like, and just had is usually issues of like relationship stuff. And they come to me and they just ask like what to do. I'm just like, if it's not right, it's not right. Sometimes people just got to admit that at
So
the end of the day,
much.
look at,
Yeah, fine.
especially literally all my friends have just left school. I left school a year early and I went to college, but it's like, yeah, you're so right. Just time for everything. It's like you've got
So
like
much
all
time,
your
bro.
qualifications. You can do anything. You know what I mean? So don't let that type of stuff weigh you down. You know what I mean?
So your music's obviously been like you're you're very new, but you're also very old. So you've done a lot since you were 12, for example, right?
Yeah.
You've always been involved in music. So if you've been doing that for 6 years, for example, right?
Hmm.
What what is what is in the plans? What other things apart from music, right? We'll go back to music in a minute, right?
Hmm.
But was there anything else that you done that wasn't music that inspired you when you were younger? What else is so? If you were to say music was to disappear tomorrow, and that was never going to be the case. But say music disappear tomorrow, what have you got left in your box? What's happening? What are you doing tomorrow? If there's no
That's a
music, what do you do next?
well, that's something. I feel like a lot. I feel like if you ask that to a lot of people, they would tell you, "Oh, I couldn't live. I have to do. This is what I'm made for." And that, but I'm not gonna say that actually, because
It's a good
for
question, though, isn't it?
literally, it's such a good question. Because for so much of my life, I just wanted to be an artist. I wasn't even that good. I just wanted to draw. You know what I mean? Like that was like when I was younger, like in primary school and everything, all my like everyone was saying, "Oh, James is going to be like an artist," and in a sense, I guess I still am. But they were just like, "Oh, he just loves drawing and just doing all that type of thing," and that was an outlet as well. Like especially when I was like younger and like even like up until like S3, I just drew like stuff. You know what I mean? Like I feel like a lot of people should pick up art because
Yeah.
it's such a good thing. It doesn't matter if you're good because like the like one of the most expensive paintings in the world is a fucking red square. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, man.
people, yeah, like you can literally go anywhere with like art because there's always a market for it. So that is definitely probably what I'd like look into. Like just maybe not necessarily like drawing and stuff, but just anything like down that type of lane. Like that was always like
I'm so
top of
glad you
my
said
interest.
that, man.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said art. So you would be an artist of some sort because you right now you are an artist. So
Mhm,
it's definitely inside you. So
mhm.
art is like something like it's like I suppose like what you're doing as well. Anybody can do, but they at the same time you know what I mean by that. But they
Mhm.
can do, but with art, that's even it's like you're right, man. There's like there is like red boxes we should be painting or something. There is something we could
Yeah.
do, and you will be able to make something beautiful out of it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, any form of art to me is just like amazing because it's like you can just look at it and someone's done that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like if you like look at I don't know like I don't know. Yeah, that's all I can say really. Like
yeah.
it's just there's thought into it. You know what I mean? Like
So tell me about the process, right? When you get to a new, when you're writing your own stuff,
mhm,
and because you are writing your own music,
mhm.
what's the process? Where do you start? What happens?
Okay,
Like your
so.
lyrics, your beat.
Mhm.
What's the concept? What do you do?
Okay, so I do a few different things. It really does depend song to song, but like the most basic one is I'll give my producer who is like I'll be like this is the type of song I'm interested in making. And at this point he just sends me random shit like cuz he already knows like exactly what I'll like, which is really great because like it's nice to have someone that really gets you in like that type of level. But I'll be
Hmm.
like this is what I want to do and he'll give me a day or two and then get back to me. And then when I have like an instrumental or a beat, I'll be like, okay, I'll listen to it a few times, and then slowly but surely you start putting things in your head like words that'll work, choruses and all that stuff. But I feel like I'm quite different than a lot of people who write music in general because most people write in advance, like they write like a whole song and then they go to record it. I usually just sit with like in my like little studio thing here with my microphone up and that, and I listen, write, record a chunk, write, record a chunk, and then I'll leave it and come back like the next day, and I'll probably come back and change it like the next day or whatever. Because as days go by and that like so many different ideas just come into your head. I usually get the
Yeah,
best ideas when I'm at work because
yep,
you're literally like alone, like of your own thoughts for the most part, and
yep,
all that. Like a lot of time I have like just like because of the type of job I do, I have like a headphone in just and I listen to albums I've never heard before, like just like one
yep.
earphone, and the amount of times I've just heard stuff and I'll be like, right, that's giving me so much inspiration, and I like pause it and I just keep humming it in my head until I get home, and then first because I can't get my phone, so I'll just write it down the second I get home. Like the amount of
Yeah,
my yeah, my brother can vouch the amount of random words I've just sent him that mean everything to me, but like nothing
yeah.
to him. You know what I mean?
This is great. I like this. I
Hmm.
like it.
Hmm.
That's brilliant. So really, your lyrics and your songwriting process just comes from everyday life. Just as you're walking,
Literally.
so you don't have you don't actually you don't go and find one. So if you, for example, if you want to write a song, and you just off the bat, you couldn't. It has to be something that that's came across your day or week or something
Hmm.
that's been in your head. Do you have thoughts that have been in your head when you're about to write something and you're like, right, I'm going to use that as well? Do you do
Hmm.
stuff like that
Oh yeah, all the time.
all the
Like
time?
I mean, I usually think of what the song's gonna be about first, and then I like write about it. Like I do feel like it's funny. Like I'm on this because like the whole mental health aspect is like recently becoming quite a big part of my music, just because it's like I've got a lot of stuff that like I feel like the only outlet I can get out is through music. And like a lot of time I'm just like pure just like aggression, you know what I mean? Just fucking get it out, like, you know,
Yeah,
out your system and that. Because I feel like when you're angry or something's bad's happened, that's when you make like the best stuff. Like you can hear like
heard this a
any
lot.
artist in interviews, and they're always like the best songs are usually fueled by something, you know what I mean? Like as but like and thoughts are always just like constantly coming into my head when I'm writing. Like if I have like an idea of what I'm writing about, let's say it's about like an experience I've had with a person, then like I'll slowly but surely start like finding everything. Like in like I'll start writing and I'll be like, okay, this, that, and then it all come together. And then eventually it kind of just looks like on paper it looks like a big rant, but then like you actually like record it and that, and it's like, you know, like I feel like Eminem's a great example because that's what most of his music was, like just
Yeah,
aimed at people. You know what I mean? Because stuff he had a personal problem with, and yeah, just
yeah.
comes across so well. You know what I mean? Mhm,
It's great. I like it. I like it. So
mhm,
you growing up, we've already kind of spoke about you, like your biggest challenges, right?
mhm.
But so for you to overcome your biggest challenges, what would you say if you were going to have a problem in the future, in the next couple of weeks, next tomorrow, whatever, right? And
Mhm.
somebody comes to annoy you, what's your biggest challenge? What do you do to make sure that you don't get sucked into that negative energy? Does that make sense?
That does make sense, yeah. Like, because I can vouch for like, there's a lot of people I know who I won't say names obviously,
No,
but you
of
can
course,
just
of
like
course.
you can, I'm sure you do as well. You know, it's like you can just tell like it's just mindless hate for absolutely no reason. It's because they have a personal problem, and
Hmm.
you're talking about getting roped in. The worst part is when people rope others into it, because then that doesn't just anything. Personally, I can say I've never, I mean, I've definitely came across that type of thing a lot, but I've never really like been one to like let it like consume me. And the reason is because I don't know, I love looking at like little things in that, because I'm like, I sit down, let's say someone or something's really bothering me. I'm like, because something happened like a few weeks ago, like I was texting someone, and you know, I was just asking a question, and they screenshotted it and sent it to someone else being like, why is he asking this? What, like, to the
Oh,
person I
just
was
yeah,
asking about. Yeah. And I'm like, "Ah, for fuck," and I got in so many random texts, and you know, people just say random shit, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And
they
I'm just
do.
sitting there just like, and I was just sitting there, and then the original person I was texting, I was like, right, I like this guy. I don't know, not too sure on him at the moment, because I don't think he meant for it to go off
Yeah.
the wall.
So
But
it's
it's
like
just like,
it's a
it's
big
like
fucking
dominoes.
it's like a big fucking game of Chinese whispers, isn't it? It's like
Yeah,
somebody says
exactly.
something and then it
Uh-huh.
just fucking grows arms and legs, and before you know it,
Exactly.
you've done something or you've said something
Yeah,
you never actually said.
exactly. So I was like, I sat there, and I really just sat there. I was just like, do I phone this guy? Because, but then I was like, no. If I phone him, like, because I wouldn't even be that pissed off over the phone, but I'd just be like,
Yeah,
what the fuck, why? But
yeah,
then, like, then I thought, like, if I phone him, he's just gonna fucking tell someone that I phoned him. It's gonna,
yeah.
it's just a domino
Yeah,
effect.
yeah, and that's
So
the big,
mhm.
and that's another fear. And then it turned, like I say, that this innocent game of fucking Chinese whispers has turned into, right, hey, do you want to fight?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Do
exactly.
you want to fight?
And that, yeah, and that was like and that was exactly like what I didn't want, because if he would be like, oh, he phoned, then people would be like, hold on a minute, that means he's got a problem.
Yeah,
Even if I was just inquiring. So I was like, you know what? Like, I was just like, I'm not even gonna bother. And
yeah,
nothing came from it. That was like literally nothing. And
yeah.
who knows what could have, if I just wanted to be like pissed off. And but sometimes it
So,
just takes a bit of self-will, you know what I mean?
I'm reading this book. Well, I'm not reading this, but I'd bought a book for my boy. Right, he'd never read it, but I'd bought this book, and it was called it's reality trans surfing, right? Now,
Hmm.
it's a massive book. It's like, when I say massive, all books are quite big, right? But when I put it into this description, I bought the Audible, right? And the Audible, usually an Audible book's like 8 hours, seven,
Hmm.
8 hours, right? This book's 65 hours. I'm sure it's, don't quote me, I'm sure it's 65 hours. But I've only just started listening to it, right? And at the start of the book, chapter two, whatever I'm on, it talks about negative energies and positive
Mhm.
energies, right? And like
Mhm.
and like a pendulum, right?
Mhm.
So and the way it describes this pendulum, and by the way, when I'm listening to it, this is brilliant, right? It's like
Mhm.
it's just the way it does it. It's talking about this pendulum, and it talks about like negative energy, like attaching itself to people, and positive energy as well, right? But if
Mhm.
you join like that pendulum of that negativity, then it grows and it just gets
Mhm.
stronger. And you can't do anything about that. So when we talk
Mhm.
about, for example, Chinese whispers of a guy who's made an innocent comment, but he's tried to wind it up a wee bit by
Mhm.
adding other additives, and
Mhm.
then you join into that additives and you add more of your
Yeah.
additives, it then becomes something that's uncontrollable. And then
Mhm.
before you know it, somebody gets a slap or somebody gets something really negative happening to them.
Yeah.
So again, that's just about that's my kind of stuff from
That's
reality
a great
transfer.
analogy.
But the best book, reality transfer, I'm like, this is for even for like you guys your age or people that your age, right? It's
Mhm.
from so from 16 right through to whatever, or young adults. I'm a young
Mhm.
adult at 45, right?
Mhm.
Almost right. But this kind of stuff is like it's vital that we share this stuff, that we don't
Mhm.
join Chinese whispers. We don't start negativity by keep remaining with the negativity that's always there. So I
Mhm.
believe that this small conversation we've just had, you seem like a guy who can deal with any negativity quite quick, as in you will show people the light rather than showing them
Mhm.
darkness or negativity.
I mean,
And I like that.
I can just look back to like every bad thing that's like happened like between me and other people, you know what I mean? Because bad things happen all the time, but stuff
Yeah,
that like could have easily been prevented. And I'm like, well, how the fuck did that make me feel? Who did that hurt? How is it, whatever? And I'm just like, why? You know what I mean? I'm so used to people not being a fan of me like over the years because a lot of people, I talk a lot. I can't help that. That's why I love podcasts.
no,
Like,
it's
and a
good,
lot of people
man.
and a lot of people, really, really don't like that or whatever, and they, they get annoyed. They think I'm annoying or whatever. I'm used to that at this rate. Like I know the people who are the best, and the more and more I talk to proper like people like you've like lived in that, and like people don't actually care. You know what I mean? They just see, but they just see visions and that they don't see like being annoying, and I'm like so used to that, and the amount of times like drama or whatever's came from just other people being anger, whatever. I'm like, does that even need to happen? What is like the
Mhm.
point? People lose mates, people like fall out, people have fights. It's like I'll look at this now as I get older, because to be honest with you, like I'm 18, just turned, and I know that's still very young, but slowly but surely you get into the real world, don't you? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, what's the point in even like trying to burn bridges at this point? You know what I mean? Because it doesn't go anywhere good. I mean, you're 45, like you've lived like so much. Could you
Well,
tell me
no
like
yet, no yet. I'm
oh,
44, but I'm in my
44.
45th year.
Mhm.
But
Oh
it's
yes.
get.
Eh,
Hopefully, I get there.
well,
Uh,
you've lived a long time in that. Could you tell me
yeah,
like how many like because obviously you've dealt with like this type of stuff before, where people
yeah,
have arguments and it just comes down to shit. How much of that has mattered? You're still
yeah.
sitting here. You
Exactly,
know what I
man.
mean? None of it really.
It does matter. You're right. It does. It doesn't matter. It's like you just learn. You learn from every negative aspect or everything that's happened, and you go forward and you
Mhm.
use that negativity. So I believe that everything negative is a gift
Mhm.
to help you get better. So I,
Mhm.
I also believe that, and then messing up a lot, but within reason. But I reckon that you need to make mistakes to get forward, and
I
that's,
completely agree with that.
do you know what I mean. You're
Completely.
you're going to make those mistakes. What
Mhm.
was going to say? I don't know how long do we get on StreamYard? Is it 60 minutes? How long is it longer than that?
I don't know.
We'll just keep going till it goes. Might go off in the next 7 minutes. So I think we could go off. We probably this for an hour and a half.
Mhm.
But I've got a few more questions to ask you.
Go for it.
Now, we've already kind of spoke about your biggest. Well, we've not really spoken about your biggest achievement because you've only just kicked off, right? But what would
Mhm.
you say your biggest achievement? Because I know that you've got a song that had 41,000 hits, right?
Mhm.
Ain't No Money to Me, right? And I was listening to that as well.
Yeah.
That was released last year. But what would you say is your biggest achievement so far? Whilst And again, it's very, very early. You're only 18.
Mhm.
What's made you proud of what you've done?
That's a great
Was
question.
it the concert that you done? 150 people? Because
I
that's a big thing.
I've done like a few more concerts since then. Like only one of them had like like I did like one very recently, which had like about 60 to 80 people at it, and that felt good. But nothing, I don't think anything will ever beat until I do a show as big as that first one. And I know why it was so big, because I was in school and the tickets were a fiver, and it was one of those things that's like, I'm
Yeah.
going, do you want to come along? And that, because I did that, so I definitely say that's good that you're mentioning that, right? Because I don't really think about it too much, but now that you're saying it out loud, that's probably is my biggest achievement, purely just because it put me in the path I'm at now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if I'd never done that, if I never sent that email to like the hole I booked out, if I never did like anything, who knows what I would have done. That is probably my greatest achievement, to be honest. I
What?
feel like
Tell me this. Which speakers did you use?
well, for that first concert, it was just the fucking hole's PA system. So it was actually like it was all right, but the amount of like people, it was not made for 150 people like chanting, yeah, like you know what I mean. So half the time I couldn't even hear my songs and that, but it didn't matter. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
some of those, I still look back at some of those videos of me doing that concert. I'm just so proud. Like that's probably my biggest. But in terms of like other ones, like one happened very recently. Like I've got a manager, so like that getting the opportunity to get a music manager, that was insane. Cause like holy shit, even if it was, oh my, that's my microphone again. Even if it was just with like, because I went to college last year. I went to Glasgow Kelvin College. I don't know if you know there. Like it's it really, I love my time there though. And I was in the music course, and my tutors and that, they were all just being like, especially Campbell, who you might know this band. Do you know a band called Aztec Camera?
I've heard that take camera.
Yeah, he was
Yep.
in that band. Like he's a member of that band. So he's like he's had his career, you know what I mean? He's like been successful.
Yeah.
And he
No,
was
I
just
have to. Yeah, they're good.
And he was just telling me like you've got it. You know what I mean? There is something about like he sees when I perform and everything, and it felt good hearing it from some, because he's older, you know what I mean? And it felt good hearing it from someone like that. And he was like, here, just come up and like, you know, and I started talking to I had to go into a classroom. It was loads of people just sitting there, and I had to go and give a presentation of sorts about what I'm doing musically. It wasn't about like why they should get me as a man, like why they should manage me. It was more just like, oh, why, like what I'm doing. And I just sat there. I started explaining, and then they were like, "Oh, you've done really well." And then I
Yep.
left, and I just got a few texts, and it was just like, "Yo, we're interested," from like people from the class. And eventually, I signed my first like management thing, and so that was insane. That felt really good going home to tell my parents. I'll be honest with you, just been like, I've signed my first like management contract. You know what I mean? Like I'd say, yeah, let's say that's definitely one.
That's yeah, that's brilliant.
Hmm.
That must have been really good. That must have been really good feeling to have that. I'm
Hmm.
just trying to mess about with these. So I'm messing about with the manners. Uh, if I was you, so what's next up?
What's next up?
What's next up?
So me and my
Sorry,
manager and that.
I'm going to
Oh,
cut you off. I'm going to cut you
oh
off.
yeah,
No, I'm trying. I've messed about in the background. There, I'm starting to mess up.
yeah.
The sound, right? The sound that you should be looking for, the aim that you should be looking for when you're doing your next sound is D&B Audio Technic. Do you ever go for the D&B speakers? Do you know a bit much about them?
Oh, I've used them a few times at college and that, but I've never had them like personally.
Mate, mate, D&B are the best.
Yeah.
Oh, 100% the best.
Hmm.
100% the best. Beyonce uses them along with
That's.
along with many others.
Hmm.
So get yourself
It's.
some D&B. I think they're only about a grand a speaker or something like that. You'll be fine with that, the way.
I mean, to be honest, like if I had stuff like that's like one of those things. It's like if you had them, you never need anything else. To be honest
That's you,
with you,
mate. I
you know.
know.
I
I
mean,
say a grand. They probably talk about the minimum is about for 5 grand. I think for just because I got for they're
I
massive.
mean, you know what's funny, right? Like people were like, you still see reviews for concerts happening at like the Hydro, and they're like, the sound was shit. Like what? Like I've been to so many concerts at the Hydro. What's up? Like you know what I mean? Some people just can't do the job, you know, or like the equipment's
Yeah,
just not good enough. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
But I suppose
definitely.
it's a big thing. The only reason I know that is because I'm kind of a wedding DJ at the weekends, and that's what he
Hmm.
uses. That's what we use, and
Hmm.
it's just amazing. It's like the sound that comes through it is amazing. But
Hmm.
that, again, that's just another question.
Hmm.
So, which you was going to ask you is, what's the plans? So you've just released. So let's talk about the one you just released today. Safe
Hmm.
now, right?
Hmm.
Where did that come from? Where was the inspiration behind that?
So, uh, so that's like as I said earlier, that song has been like kind of in the process of being made for like 2 years. I found the beat like ages ago just on YouTube, and I was like, oh, I love this. This is great. You know what I mean? Like, I just
Mm,
wasn't sure like how. I just assumed we went over the hour, so that means we're not out of time. That's great. But
mm,
so I was I don't know, I heard it. I was like, oh, this is great. Like, I need to just do this some justice and that. And at the time, I was dealing with I don't know, I guess like a lot of negativity in that, and I was just starting like with like the like sort of like more comedy stuff. Like I was doing like I was wanting to go in this different direction. I was experiencing a lot of hate and negativity from it, and it did bring me
yes.
down quite a bit because there really was no, even if they were just random fuckers from America and that, it really did feel like these were the only ones supporting me, and now they're not. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, fuck's sake. Um, so then, but so I started writing about it, and I wrote the song from like the perspective of like someone who's like, oh, they're just at like a like they're at like a party or whatever, they're just like hanging around people. They find people they like and that, but at the end of it all, it's like, without like when you don't feel like you yourself are safe now or whatever, if you feel like you're just gonna go back and just everything's gonna come down, it's like it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? Like, so you need to get yourself out of that first, like, because like the last line in my verse is just hold on, I have it right. I have it right in front of me. I'll read it out. Pretty funny, pretty funny.
Go
You
for
can
it.
just like bring it up. But the last line in my verse here is hold on. Yeah, yeah. So we got to know each other. Oh yeah, just like. But as life getting older, can't lose it to this problem. So we got to know each other. Might be the final piece of the problem. So that's kind of like saying good people start coming to you and that might finally fix it, but at the end of it all, it can all come back down. And I wrote that 2 years ago. I'm still really happy about that, but
That
like it's
that
it's truth there, you know what I mean?
but that is the truth, man.
Hmm.
I love how you've got yourself ready for that. And that's because people don't realize that you can't always go up.
Hmm.
You can't always keep going up. There is going to become a time when you come down. I'm doing that as if I'm doing some trading class here, but
Hmm. Yeah.
you can. There isn't always going to be that rise. There's always going to be that bit where you're going to come down. But where you've got yourself ready is the fact that you're aware of this, and
Hmm.
you can come out of it by creating a different avenue, creating a different road, and
Hmm.
that's what music does for
Exactly.
everybody. So you've got so much potential. By the way, when you do this, it's like, yeah, you got to understand there's other people who are listening to you, and everybody relates
Hmm.
it for the same time. And sometimes it's magical how that works. So whatever you're writing, somebody's got to relate to that.
Hmm.
If
Like,
not a few,
yeah,
you know.
I mean, the amount of songs that I've like related to that is like, I can only do myself justice, you know what I mean? Like, I have to, I have to write stuff that other people are, you
Give me
know,
your first. What was your first album?
my
Your first
first.
song. What was the first album you remember? The first song you remember buying or having?
Oh,
'Cause
that's
there's no
such a good question. That's
because
such a good
that's
question.
a question that will always be looking in my head. It was like, I think it was about Bon Jovi or something like that, right?
Well,
Living on a prayer, some shit like that, right?
I've
Uh,
I've got I've got a few,
so what
like
was your
because I
first?
bought them all.
What was the one that sticks out the most?
Well, I bought three at once. I'll just say them all here.
Go
X by Ed Sheeran, like that his first like mainstream one.
right,
The what you call it? What's the Good Girl Gone Bad by Rihanna. That
right.
one, and then Doo Wops and Hooligans by Bruno Mars. Those are the three I saved up. I got given loads of
Wow.
birthday money. I went to HMV and I got those, and nothing like what I do now. but like I still like love them so much. You know what I mean? Like that,
Well,
like those
Ed
were my first.
Sheeran, Ed
Mhm.
Sheeran's like a prime example of somebody who's in your kind of sense is like somebody who told you like I'm no good at this, I'm crap at this,
Yeah.
but he stuck at it.
Hmm.
He stuck
And that
at
was
it,
like
and he just
the
made us. He
biggest
just made
artist
himself up.
ever. Yeah.
He was brilliant.
I mean, he was like homeless and stuff, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he was just literally a guy in his guitar, and
Yep.
now he's still,
Yeah.
to be
He's one
honest
of
with
the.
you, he never switched up. He's still just this guy in his guitar, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
you can see, like, so yeah, that was like the first proper album I ever got, and I was like,
Wow.
I, re-
X.
I remember like listening to like that all the time when I was younger, just like I don't know. I felt like, I think it was more because it had like just came out and that it felt cool to own something like that was mine. You know what I mean? And I could like really like sit and I don't even know if I was relating to it, but I would just come home, I'd put it on in my like little CD player my mom got me, and I would just it just you know, it just blew me away. You know what I mean? Some of
Wow.
like the music there. My favorite one was that don't. I don't know if you know that one. It's just like don't fuck with my love, like that one. I don't know if you remember that one. That was my
No, I
favorite.
don't. Probably when you came off this, I'll be like, that song.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, what was the song with Ed Sheeran and it was the guy. Oh my god! There's a guy rapping from like he's like a hotel room or something like that. Doctor, is it Doctor Levi? Is it Thingy Levi? Anyway, you
Oh,
need to get this what song is Doctor.
yeah.
I need to get that now because it's annoying me. I need to get it. I don't know. But it's so quick. It's as in so quick. And I listened to that when I was in Ibiza, right? Like
Hmm.
what was it called again? Dr. Levy, is it Dr. Levy? The Shape of You. Shape of You.
There's like a
Jet.
remix of Stormzy on that song.
Aye, it wasn't him though. It was oh mate, I fell in love with it, man. It was like it was just amazing. But it was a was it wasn't it Doctor? Was it to Levy? Oh, Thingy Levy. My cousins are going to be raging with me because
Hmm.
see all the time it was okay, we'll come back to this. Come
Hmm.
back to this. I can't get it. Let me just see if it's one of those. I'm in love with the shape of you, but it was like a pure rap version of it, and it
Hmm.
was amazing. Oh, that's there. It's General Levi, right,
Oh wait,
mate?
I think I know him.
Shape of You, DNB, their DNB remix, right? General Levi, man. It was
Hmm.
the video was so basic. It was so like cheap, nasty, but
Hmm.
the song was just hit. Let's just actually, the
Hmm.
song was just amazing. Hold on, hold on. No, I'm playing it through my earphones, but it isn't.
Hmm.
It's playing it from my earphones at it, but let's see that. It might not play. Nah, it's playing it through that. But anyway, the shape of you that mate. It's just because you said, just because you said
Hmm.
that. Because you said Ed Sheeran. Anyway, Ed Sheeran's oh, there's a wee bit. Yeah, he does. He does like the chorus. Wait, that's what took it off. So, look, mate, that's amazing. So, what I was going to say
Hmm.
about what's the other question I was going to ask you there? Here's a big one for you, right? Future
All right, go for
plans,
it.
right?
Future
Just
plans.
future plans. Where do you see yourself in the music industry in 5 years?
You know what's funny, right?
What's your goals? What's your
I
goals?
ask so many people that question. No one's ever asked it back. That is insane. Because it's always funny when you ask other people and they give you their answers and they're like, all right, all right.
What are
I've
your
got
goals for the
different aspirations.
the next few? Well, it doesn't have to be the next 5 years, but the next few years in the music industry, in your music career. What do you think?
Okay, so at the moment, me and my manager and that we're working on our first studio album,
Who's
and
your
like
manager?
he's a guy called Evan Wassel Easton. That's his name, but like yeah, like he's doing his business, like music business degree at college, so he's like around the right people because he's learning just as much as I am, but he's
Yeah,
like, you know, like I like he knows his shit, you know what I mean? You know, if
good.
he's watching this, you know, he should stop being so lazy at the moment. Reply to my text, but like
Reply to texts.
yeah,
You terrible
nah,
gaffer.
nah, it's, you know, like some you know, you know, everyone, you know, gets lazy, including myself. I have to
Nah,
write
it's
on
good.
my
It's good.
computer, stop being lazy. But yeah, no, he's been really helping me in that, like getting me in front of like the right people. So me and him though, we're working on a studio album at the moment. And it's actually it's gonna be a sequel to that one on my page already, like Hamartia, which I did 2 years ago. It wasn't originally called that, but I redid it up and cut it down to make it like a bit more confined. And it's gonna be a sequel to that. It's gonna be called you know, you can hear this first. It's gonna be called Career Suicide, and it's not necessarily gonna be like the title was given by my friends and that they said do that title, and I've been like, I love it so much because it's got
Yeah, I like
like,
that.
and because it's a sequel, Suicide's got two eyes in it and Hamarti's got one, so we highlighted that as like a Roman numeral. So like,
Right,
so we're
right.
gonna do it like that. Um, but the album's like, it's gonna. I'll have like the track list up here so I can kind of describe what type of thing it'll be. It's definitely gonna be very different for Scottish hip hop though. I can like, I'm not even trying to bring myself up. It is
No,
like,
that's good.
I'm genuinely think it could be considered like one of like the best releases this year at least in
Yeah, I like
Scotland for
that.
hip hop music. Because a lot, like, I mean, I've got my accent or whatever, you know, I can't really do much about that. But I actually think it's a bit of a blessing because it gets out to more people. Like a lot more people can, I guess, understand it or like vibe with it more.
Yep.
Like I mean, I've been noticing that like people from America, Sydney, Australia, all that type of thing listen. But it's definitely gonna be different sonically. I don't know how much rap and hip hop you know, but it's gonna be quite industrial, you know, quite gritty. Like some like more like I say upbeat, but like more like pop sounding ones. Like I love you obviously know, like, do you know The Weeknd, like his music?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
I take so much inspiration from him because I love how like his music's very quite dark, but it's so poppy in that, and it's like when you really listen into it, it's like, oh wow, like that is like real. Like I've been taking a lot of inspiration from that though, because I just
Love
love
it.
everything about it. But no, it's collaborating with quite a few different Scottish like artists. So we're hoping to get a collaboration with Superman, as you're saying, because we've done it
Yep.
before. But I prefer to hear him do some like proper like gritty like hardcore production and stuff. In terms of like topics and stuff, you know, it's not going to be like your usual like rap album where it's just like braggadocious, like I'm the best. And that it's going to be very very personal. A lot of like the songs are like, you know, tackling things. I think it's like great, especially like I'm on like this thing because a lot of the songs are very mental
What,
health
what
focused.
what
Like
about my one of my last episodes was Sean Focus. Did you in Shankers? Did you watch them?
I've seen a bit of it, about like, and vaguely know Sean Focus. I've never talked to him
Yeah,
before. I'd
he's out
love
there,
to
man. He's such a
Mhm.
great guy, and so is
I'd love
Shankers
to
as
talk to
well.
him.
These
How
these
did
guys are. It's
how'd
good
you
how
get
they
in
can.
touch with them?
Well,
Did they come to you or what?
I'd seen him getting interviewed. It was a BBC. He was on BBC. It wasn't iPlayer. BBC interview, and they were asking about a transmit.
Yeah, I've seen it. I saw him on that. He was with another girl, wasn't he? He was
Yeah,
talking about how
that's
there's not
right.
a whole lot of
So
transmit representation.
I'm looking at you. I just done that. Do you know? I'm going to ask him what he's all about and does he want to come on the podcast? So I just sent him a message and he's like, "I 100%, no problems." So we'd been a wee while trying to get him on, but when he eventually came on, it was great. It was a great conversation. But I was saying, so guys like that, you've got the potential to be with any of these guys. You could collaborate with any of these guys, and they're going to
Mhm,
throw you a beat. They're going to throw you something.
mhm,
And especially with Superman on the beat and Sanjeev, he's amazing. So
mhm.
so many guys, man.
Mhm. I mean, I've mainly been like, it's so good coming to like Sanjeev shows he's been doing because it's so like I love seeing like the opening acts. I've been on one of his shows and stuff before, but like I love going when I'm not performing because you just get a watch.
Yeah,
And like a guy I met at the last one I went to, a guy called Ace Vision. He goes by like Black Man Begins. He is so like I saw him go up stage and he was like just performing. He's so conscious. Like I feel like I could ask him any question and he would have the exact right answer. Like me and him are gonna like work and stuff because I just saw him and he had like him and his whole crew and they were just like supporting me like crazy. I just went over, I was just like, he's great in that, and I was showing them my stuff, and it felt like that was like the one time I've like really felt like properly supported just out of nowhere. These are people I've never spoken to in my life, and they're just all just like, this is so cool and that. And he actually wants to collab and everything. It's like
Yeah, that's
feels
great.
so good, you know what I mean? But
That's
yeah,
great.
no, in terms of plans, we're just gonna focus on this album and that. I mean,
Good,
like,
good. Okay.
and hopefully you'll listen when it comes
I,
out.
w- mate, I w- mate, that's me. I'm now a fan, so I'll definitely be listening. I'm now a
Mhm.
fan, and like I say, I hope you the same. Look, you're now part of Green Sunrise Podcast.
Mhm.
That's the way it happens
I'm
when you
very
get
happy with that.
interviewed. You become part of it, and I love that aspect.
Mhm.
And yeah, it'd be good for having you. In fact, I'd love you to come in and help us co-host, and
Of
we'll get your
course.
story out. But we'll make something truly beautiful. I think we can do that
I
definitely.
really do think so
With
as well.
this
I
case.
mean, just talking to you, I can tell you're just like you're just like a yeah. It said you're just like a good guy, and that you've got like an you're saying like
I'll take
I've
that.
got a vision, but you've got a vision. You know, like here
Yeah.
you've obviously got something.
Yeah, man.
You know,
We
you're
all work
striving
together.
toward.
It's like
Exactly.
when I talk about that pendulum for reality
Mhm.
transurfing, we're on this positive pendulum, and we're kind
Mhm.
of getting our stuff out there, but we're colliding and we're
Mhm.
collaborating and we're making it good for other people to know that they've got a place to be and they've got a place to go that's not where they might be because they might be in
Mhm.
that negative mindset. You again, I need to thank you. I'm going to let you go.
That's okay.
I need to thank you so much, James Steele, aka Kenny MGee.
That's all.
Uh, Kenny MGee, thank you so much for accepting this invite. By the way, this was meant to be a 10-15 minute talk, and it's
Mhm.
turned into like it was, it's an hour and 15 minutes, an hour, whatever. I'm so glad how that's worked out. I
Mhm.
hope you've been fine with that tonight, mate. That's been great.
Yeah, of course. I'd love to like come and talk again, always, I mean, this has been so much fun, I mean? And just it's good talking to like well-minded people, I mean, as I'm sure you think as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to come and help out and even like come over to your actual like studios and everything. I'd love
Yeah,
that.
100%. We'll get that set up, and we'll definitely get you in.
Mhm.
And like I say, a massive shout out to obviously to you, mate, and for what you're doing. You don't know it, but you've probably been saving lives, and you don't even know it by just
Mhm.
talking to
It feels
people in a
good hearing
genuine
that.
manner. So well
Feels
done, mate.
really good hearing that. Thank you so
No, it's
much.
good. Thank you so much, man.
Mhm.
Have an
Yeah,
excellent night, and we'll speak
I
to you
will.
in the beach, buddy.
Okay, that's good. Thank you very much again.
Have
Right.
a good night.
Cool.